Toronto. VK on the beat. Check. I'm in Toronto, where you wanna get the city love. I'm from Toronto, where you wanna get the city love. I'm in Toronto, like we wanna get the city love. My city love me back for my city love. I'm in Toronto, where you
Welcome to episode 1198 of Toronto Mic'd, proudly brought to you by Great Lakes Brewery, a fiercely independent craft brewery who believes in supporting communities, good times, and brewing amazing beer. Order online for free local home delivery in the GTA. Palma Pasta. Enjoy the taste of fresh, homemade Italian pasta and entrees from Palma Pasta in Mississauga and Oakville. Electronic Products Recycling Association. Committing to our planet's future means properly recycling our electronics of the past. Ridley Funeral Home. Pillars of the community since 1921. And Canna Cabana. The lowest prices on cannabis. Guaranteed. Learn more at cannacabana.com. Joining me today, returning to Toronto Mic'd, is Dave Charles, and joining us remotely, fresh from a new episode of Hebscher on Sports, Mark Hebscher.
Never been called that before.
I love it. This is my dream come true. I get to be on a sport talk show with Toronto Mike, and I'm just going to be talking shit for the next hour, right?
Hebsy, didn't you have a question? Like, what the hell is this? Maybe this.
Yeah, like, how did this come about here, Dave? You wanna have your own sports talk show, and you need
no.
What is
no. Let me give you a bit of background. When I was consulting CBS Radio News in New York, they had me.
By the way, you never called me. By the way, ever for a gig. Not
Anyway.
once your phone ever ring going. Yeah, it's that. I really like your work. You want to come work here for like 7 figures?
Anyway,
never, not once
let me finish the backgrounding so we get this straight. WEEI in Boston, a great sport radio station. I used to listen to them at night after I finished my work, and I always
the sports
wanted,
huddle.
Oh, absolutely. And I said, I want to do that. One day I'm going to do that. Mostly I've been a music guy all my life, but I said, this is my calling. This is where I got to be. I got to be at home plate, you know? And so I figured, okay, who do I know who can do that with me? Hebscher can do that. And I figured, I put the idea in Toronto Mike's head, and I said, we got to get this together. So here we are.
You twisted his arm, did you?
I did.
Dave Charles made me an offer I couldn't refuse.
That's right.
So in essence, this is Toronto Mike episode 1198.
Yes.
FEAT. Dave Charles. Like the kids do it, right?
I like the
Right.
brand. Branding is important. You know that.
Yeah.
So, okay, before we get into it, and Dave, basically, we're making your dreams come true here today. Shout out to Hall
Just like Hall and Oates.
Like, I feel like it's like you're not dying or anything, right? This is like a bucket list thing, and you have days to live. And
I come here to get younger, right? The whole thing. Remember you said I look 45?
Okay, yeah, so Hebsy, you look great for your age, but this man here, do you know how old Dave Charles is?
No.
Dave, how old are you?
79.
No,
He looks fantastic.
you can't be 79.
But it's amazing to
Show
me
me
that
your-
all those years in radio,
I know.
and he never got his own sports talk show.
I can't believe it. You know, I was in a chair. I could make a decision. I could put myself in the chair, but I said no. I'm not good enough. You know, I had people like Mark Daly to work with, and Dave Wright, and Cactus Jack Wells. You know, these classics.
Sure. John Wells' father, yeah.
Yeah, John Wells' father.
But
and
why did
Norm
you
Marshall in Hamilton at CHML, one of my idols. And
Who, Norm was your idol or Mike?
No, Norm Marshall. I like him.
Norm, me too.
Yeah. He's gritty. I like him.
So let me remind the listenership, and then I will recede into the background for a bit, and then at some point we're going to say goodbye
What's
to
the
Hebsy.
format of this show? We don't even know.
I gave you the
I have a
format.
I don't understand what the format is.
The format. It's called trash talking, man.
Oh, okay.
Roll with me, Hebsy. Roll with me. I'm going to tell people. The initial Dave Charles episode is in the archives, and I wrote the description at the time. Mike chats with radio veteran Dave Charles about his years at CKOC, 1050 Chum, launching Q107. I'm going to be asking you some Q107 questions later. And that episode went about 90 minutes. And Dave, remind me, you were upstairs because there was work being done in the basement. Is that correct?
I had more headroom up there, apparently. You know?
Did you hit your head here now? 'Cause
No,
you arrived during Hebscher on Sports.
I know. Well, I couldn't.
See
You know,
this?
he's one of
See
my
this? That's
favorite.
from-
He is
all
one of
this
the
is
most
from-
underrated sports people in North America, and I just wanted to pay him homage. You know, and this is my.
But why did you never offer
Hebscher.
him a gig?
Because I wasn't in a position to do that. You know, I didn't have a sports show for
You
him.
had
but he
pull,
is
you
You
were-
are now, though, aren't you, Dave?
Well, yeah, I'm going to do that right after the show, so you stand by, all right? We're going to do something big. But first of all, let's get this done. Let's show them how to do it.
So let me
You should be
pass the
retired,
mic.
man. You're 79 years old. You should be retired.
No, I'm just
You should be
starting.
retired. You should be
get-
somewhere in Florida
I
golfing or watching.
This is the fountain of
playing
youth of
pickleball.
radio. This is the
What are
fountain
you
of youth
doing
of
here?
media.
You're too
This
old.
is the fountain of youth. I come here to get younger. Every time I come, he says, "Geez, you look younger," and I said, "I'm coming back."
What's the red in the beard that throws me off? Like, you look my age. Are you Gen X?
I'm a ginger, right?
So you're right, Hebsy. It's a bit of a different show because I'm making this man's dream come true. So I'm going to let Dave Charles chat up the legend that is Mark Hebscher and do a little sports talk off the top. So I'll be here as like a third wheel or whatever. But Dave, you're now in charge. This is your sports talk show. Mark Hebscher on the line.
I'm your guest.
He's your guest. Pepper him with the hard questions and get that Bruins cap off your head.
No. This is my center of my. I love what the Bruins are doing to the NHL right now. You know, I looked at the Leaf game the other night. What was that score again, guys? No, there's no comment from the peanut gallery. Anyway, this is Charles on Sports, and my guest today is Mark Hebscher. I'm gonna go right into it.
Do you want your music?
Where's my theme music?
Okay,
you know?
yeah, because I want to
Come
chat
on,
about this.
come on,
Okay.
Come on, pick him up.
Oh, the average white fan.
Yeah, man, come on. We're gonna pick it up.
1974,
Come
solid
on.
goal.
1050 chump.
On chump.
Yeah.
And now the Dave Charles Show with Dave Charles.
Love those guys. And you know they're Scottish. You know, everybody better from Scotland.
Macintosh,
These guys are
yeah,
like
we know, but-
funky white guys. What can I tell you? They are. Anyway, we got to get off to a good start. Music makes me crazy. I was gonna use something really obscure like a weather report and Birdland, but nobody would know that song.
That's not obscure, though.
Hebsy would know that.
Yeah,
I know, of course.
MC would. We're going to talk to Jays right now. Right off the top, let's get right into the meat of it. We're 30 days away from spring training. Let's talk about how the Jays are going to do it this year or not. Let's go through the lineup. What do you think? What's your initial response to all the trades in the offseason, all the moves? You know, the club has been broken up so a little bit. What do you think of the New Look Jays?
I like them. But I don't think they're going to win the division necessarily,
No.
but they're certainly a better team than they were last year. But and a lot of things have got to happen with the starting rotation. I mean, I haven't seen Chris Bassett pitch. I don't know if he's necessarily going to be a great pitcher. My big concern with the Jays in baseball is that all the rule changes all come at once.
Yeah, I agree.
It's going to
100%.
affect the game dramatically. In spring training, you're going to find like the pitcher's like, I got how many seconds to throw this ball? And,
Yep.
oh, I got 5 more seconds if there's a runner on base. And if I'm the batter, I got to get into the batter's box when the count reaches 8, or else I'm going to get charged a strike against me. He's charged a ball against him. And yeah, I just think that's going to really make it for, I'm hoping that it's a smooth transition. I don't think it will be.
No, I
But
agree
other than
100%.
other than that, they got the talent. Listen, they should have done better than they did last year. It's the age-old story. Right?
Yep.
You got the talent to do it. And
Yep.
so if everybody improves, if Bo improves and Vladdy improves and
It's all about pitching. I mean, I would like to make a deal to get Kikuchi out of there. I don't think he should
Who
be in
wants
that. Nobody wants him. And Hyun-Jin Ryu's likely scheduled for July if everything goes okay with the rehab. And then we made a nice move with Chad Green. I thought that was a really nice addition.
you're
But
not
again,
going to pitch probably till July anyway.
exactly.
Right? He
He's
had
coming off Tommy John.
Johnson.
He's coming off Tommy.
But you don't
John.
know you don't know how he's going to come back. You don't know how Ryu's going to come back.
But I remember his
Yeah,
stuff in it. He was a J killer.
Yeah, but you said the same thing about Kyle Drabeck when he came back from Tommy John. He didn't do shit. So for every pitcher that you hope does well after Tommy John, most of them don't.
I know. But I like
quite. So
I like
it's a gamble there.
we got hard nosed guys in the outfield. You know, we've got who we got there? We got Varsho.
Varsho.
We got Varsho.
Varsho.
And we've got
You got 3
Kiermaier.
center fielders. You got Kiermaier, Varsho, and Springer.
Yep.
There's your 3 center fielders.
Yep.
Right. Beyond that, you got a myriad of situations where you could put Merrifield in the outfield as your
And
fourth
Bijou as well.
Biggio can play the outfield as
Yep,
well,
yep.
right?
Yep.
Espinal is your backup third baseman to Chapman.
Yep.
He could be your starting second baseman. Merrifield could be your starting
And
second
he's also
baseman.
Espinal's also played shortstop as well. Don't forget.
Yeah, he can play some shortstop as well to back up. So you've got your utility guys. You got your backup guys. You got a great backup guy at first with Brandon Belt, who's a great clubhouse guy with 3 World Series rings, left-handed hitter. So you've added your left-handed hitting. Now all it is, they just got to play 162 games, and then in the playoffs don't lay an egg like they did last year.
I know. Hey,
at home. I
got to ask you, what's
all
Mattingly?
games in Toronto?
What's
at home?
What is Mattingly going to bring to the bench? What do you think?
Well, ownership, future ownership of the what is it? The Nashville team. What team is he? He's a consultant for. How are you the bench coach for the Blue Jays yet you're a part owner in a future team? I guess. Oh, Mattingly's great, man. How'd you not learn from Donnie Baseball? So that'll be great.
No.
And how much of an effect does the coaching staff have on a team? Well, I think overall, you're looking at a different clubhouse without Teoscar, without Lourdes, right?
Yep.
So maybe that was the first step, and Mattingly was part of that process of making sure that we've got all the right people, everyone's on the same page. Oh, we can have our fun.
Yep.
May not have a home run jacket next year.
Yep.
Certainly aren't going to have sunflower seeds being flipped around. Let's get fucking serious
Exactly.
the way Seattle was.
Yeah.
Let's get serious the way Seattle was. See how serious Seattle was in the playoffs last year?
Exactly. We didn't have that demeanor for the whole season, And
let's get serious.
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
Now you've got guys like Varsho, like Bassett, like especially Belt.
Yep.
That have some pedigree.
Yep.
Right. That have been there, that are what they call professionals. That's not to suggest that Lourdes Gurriel and Teoscar were not professionals, but I don't know. There's a different level of professionalism, and maybe the Jays needed that. They needed more focus, and perhaps those players weren't focused on putting the energy into the things that we had hoped that they would, and the results speak for themselves. They failed in the playoffs.
Let's talk about some of the changes at the Rogers Center. They're going to reconfigure the field. I've seen the layout. They got the bullpen where you can see it. What's your thoughts on that?
Unless they can find a way to make the entrance to the building more welcoming, I still find it odd that when you're walking up to the Rogers Center and you go through security, it's dark, and you go and then you go through the turnstiles, it's dark. And then you still have to walk another, 100 feet before you get any glimpse of, especially if you're in the 100 level, any glimpse of the field and any sense of, it's a baseball park. When you first walk in, it's concrete and it's concessions and more concessions and pillars and posts, and keep walking, and then there's the ballpark. I would rather, like in most of these places that I love going to, Cleveland or Detroit or you name it.
Absolutely.
You can see the ball, you can see the entrance, you can see the field from blocks away.
Yeah.
When you walk to Cleveland, it's like, you're 3 blocks away. There it is. I can see everything happening there. But when you walk into Rogers Center, it's like going into an indoor arena, which is, essentially really what it is. So I hope when they've reconfigured it, at least it's more airy and light and welcoming and something.
Yep.
That'll help.
Well, I just think that they're turning it into a big social event because they want to have more venues where people can hang out. And a lot of people go to the ball game where they don't even watch them. They don't watch the ball game at all. They're just there hanging out. And having exactly, so they're making more of that, more inclusive in that environment. But let's talk about outside the stadium. You related to, the atmosphere outside. What about the buskers? Do we have a good quality buskers?
With the drummer out there, man, on that walkway. Right?
Yeah.
The walkway that comes from Front Street, right, to south from Front Street.
We got we got Spider-Man as well. We're hanging around. And
what does Hebsey think of the Ted Rogers statue?
I usually the Ted Rogers statue is only used as a landmark to meet someone. Like when I go to the ballgame with my buddy Jeff Church,
right?
I say just meet me at the Ted Rogers statue. So that area there, and then we go, and he's a season ticket holder, so you go in the season ticket holder gate, which is right there.
Yep.
So that's, but beyond that, it's a place where pigeons hang out. Really, it's
Look, the other thing we got to get sorted this year is I think we need to give the home plate lady a throne. She's earned it. She's so regal, the best dressed lady I've ever seen in a ball game, and she's sitting there and she poses and eats her snacks and I just think we got to get her a throne.
I don't like her.
Let's hear more about this, Hebsey. What do you not like about it?
When I watch a baseball game, I'm interested in the baseball players. I'm not interested in seeing what the 8 people behind home plate are doing. Okay, I know you are. You're fixated by this, but I couldn't give a shit. I'm sure she's lovely, but I mean, really? I mean, like my cousin who's from Chicago, who's a baseball. He's like, "What home plate lady? What the fuck is this? Is this the mascot?" I'm like, no. Every game, every single game.
I know.
She's the one over the umpire's left shoulder. That's her.
Well, there's Geddy Lee. There's Geddy Lee who's sitting there.
Well, no, but you don't see Geddy Lee in every.
Yeah,
but I'm
not as
talking
often.
from the center field camera. Basically, there's 1, 2, like 8 to 10 people you can get a good close look at.
Right.
Last year there was one idiot, one fucking hump in those seats that had a sign. I don't even remember what the sign was for. And every time he knew that every time they just about as the pitcher was about to throw the pitch, they would cut to the center field camera, and just as the pitcher is delivering, he'd hold up this sign, whatever it said, before every pitch. Now I'm totally distracted by this hump. I'm trying to watch the game. So they should have some way to some screen or some technological way to just I don't want to see the faces. I don't want to see the fans behind home plate.
I think we should have a
I want to see the
scoop.
pitch.
We gotta
I
get
want
a
to see that
sky
little
scoop.
strike zone thing, and that's it. I don't want to see these other people. Now, after the pitch has been thrown, you can cut to as many because there's going to be 15 to 20 seconds between pitches, right? Yeah. In that 15 to 20 seconds, the director can cut from that fan to that fan to that fan to the player to his batting average to the next pitch. It's easy in baseball. It's the easiest. I'm not saying it's the easiest thing in the world, but when it comes to sports, it's very predictable, right? Very predictable. Yep. Here's the first pitch to the guy. It's a called strike. Now you cut to a shot from the third base camera, and here's the guy, and here's his batting average, OPS, and everything like that. Boom. Now you go to the center field shot from behind the pitcher to show where the location is. And in Toronto, there's people there. In other ballparks, there aren't. Right. But for more and more ballparks, yeah, because those seats are worth a lot and your friends can see you. So they can charge thousands of dollars for you. Look, I saw you, Mary Hart. That's you right behind home plate at the Dodger game every game. Remember for years they had the guy with the white hat and the radar gun.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I know.
Remember
I know.
before you knew it nowadays, but then back in those days, the guy had a guy with a radar gun, white hat at Dodger Stadium in that lower section there. That's like right at field level behind screens. I'd be watching these people going, why am I watching this guy with the white hat? I'm trying to. So I just find it distracting. Nothing against the home plate lady, but there's got to be something better to talk about.
No, Dave, I think we have our lead now. Hebsy man shits all over home plate lady. Tune in to episode 1198.
We got to get her. She never talks. I don't know what she sounds like.
That's all I need, Mike. It's all I need is for you to start a Twitter war with the home plate lady.
I don't think she's on Twitter. I think that's
irrelevant.
That's an imposter.
Okay? Let's tune in the game and see if the home plate lady's there and what she's wearing. No.
I want to, Pat Tabler's not there anymore, so there's going to be no comments on home plate lady. He's in Cincinnati.
Good.
Now let's switch it up a little bit here. I want to talk about the NFL for just a bit. Why doesn't Toronto have an NFL team?
You know the answer to that.
Come on, I want to hear you.
You know the answer to that. Toronto needs to have a strong Canadian Football League franchise. Okay? They have to.
Yeah.
This is where the money is. This is where the networks are. This is the center of the universe. And having an NFL team would absolutely kill that, no matter what anyone tells you. It would kill it. Kill it.
Okay.
What? I don't have to have a stadium that's big enough, to hold the capacity that the NFL wants, which is somewhere around 70, which you can't do at the Rogers. Even after the retrofit, it's even less.
Yep.
So you don't have an NFL stadium. So besides that, though, it'd be great to have a team.
Well, the World Cup is going to come. We're going to get a few games. Are they going to retrofit the current stadium?
Yeah, I guess they are to World Cup standards. I don't know what that is. Is it 60,000 or whatever the number is?
Yeah, it is. They can fill in the end zones.
They haven't even announced where. I would assume that that Rogers Center is the primo place. It's not going to be BMO Field, is it? I don't know.
I think it is
because you got to have it on natural grass. So can you have it at the Rogers Center?
They don't have natural grass.
That's right. So if you don't have natural grass, you're not going to hold a World Cup on turf.
No.
That answers that. So we answered our own question there. Didn't you do your research before you started this show?
Absolutely. Look, I got all the paperwork right
here.
It's
going to be BMO. They've already announced renovations and stuff to build up the sidewalls or whatever. I think
what?
BMO.
BMO, right? Because that's the soccer pitch.
Sure.
That's our. Yeah, it's not going to be Rogers Center.
No.
Well,
so you'd have to do. I don't know what the minimum is. Is it 45,000, Mike, for World Cup? I don't know.
They got a lot of work to do then, because right now, what is it, 30?
35.
Yeah, I think you can get 30 to 35 in there if you add the temporary seating. I don't know. Anyway, they got a couple of years to do that. until 2026, right?
Hey, Hebsy, how's Dave Charles doing so far? I just want to check in here as I
I think he's kind of a little all over the place here. He's got so many things on his mind. He's got so much. But I thought that the home plate lady that high up in the show was I don't know, could have been an error. It was
he knows what the people want.
The momentum. It stopped the momentum because I don't have a scouting report on the home plate lady.
I'd rather hear.
Is she going to be at spring training? That's the other thing. Once you start seeing the spring training games,
she's not at spring training.
All these strangers with white legs. And white arms and pasty looking, right, with Blue Jay caps and sunglasses are going to be sitting by home plate. You're going to go, who that? What the hell?
Dave, did you hear Hebsy he tried to get into the facility and was not allowed in, and this is back when Richard Griffin was the media guy. In fact, Hebsy was just on here. He was in a couple weeks ago with Richard Griffin. It was amazing, right, Hebsy? But Hebsy couldn't get in.
I had tickets for 5 games in spring training last year, and they were all 5 were canceled because of COVID.
Yeah.
Right. So much for that. And couldn't do any of that. And now this year we're not going down for spring training this year. Although I bet you it'll be really exciting. Spring training is going to be wild this year.
Dave, you let me know when you want another one of your jams. We can intersperse it here, break it up a bit. I wanted more chatter about the, what do they call it? The Average White Band? What's that band called? The
Average White Band. Pick up the pieces. Cut the cake.
Like that jam is everyone knows that song, but I don't think a lot of people know about the group.
Well,
they're from Scotland.
They're from Scotland.
That's it.
Robbie McIntosh,
one hit wonder, and stuff like that. But I also wanted to get into talking about World Cup. You know, are you happy with the situation in the World Cup last year?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, World Cup, we had one goal for the entire tournament, and I just want to know what you think of the future going forward for Canada.
Oh, for Canada.
Yeah.
What do I think's the future? I think it looks pretty darn good. I mean, I'm not really up on the development teams or whatever, but Alphonso Davies is still going to be a superstar, even more so in coming a couple of years. Jonathan Davis, and but I mean, I'm not disappointed because I didn't think they would do well because, as you saw, that was the group of death.
Mm-hmm.
It was a tough job. We were like, Morocco. Are you fucking kidding me? Morocco was better than us in the world.
Yeah.
Right. So any expectations of getting through the group stage, no. The fact that we scored a goal, the fact that we almost, I mean, we got off to a great
Belgium,
start against Croatia and should have, the penalty and all that and that whole thing. It shouldn't have been Alfonso. It should have been someone else. That was bullshit, man. I mean, I just think the fact that we won CONCACAF and got in, should have been enough. But how can you just say, we're happy to be in? You want to be able to contend, especially after what happened with the women winning gold. The men were like, no, man, we want to do something. But man, Morocco, good squad. Croatia,
really
squad.
Solid. Yeah, really squad.
And Belgium. I mean, think of Belgium. You're disappointed that you didn't get through? Belgium.
Right.
Belgium.
I know.
Right.
Okay, Morocco got through, Croatia got through, Belgium didn't get through. That was the group of death.
What about Italy? I got a lot of Italian friends in Toronto.
Oh, Italy didn't even qualify.
I know.
But here's the beautiful thing is we don't have to, none of that drama will take place leading up to the next World Cup because we've already qualified. Yeah. So there won't be that we got to win. No advantage whatsoever. I know. So it's dead qualifying. It's like a dead rubber in tennis where the match means nothing.
Right.
But you have to play it anyway. That's what it's going to be like for we don't have to qualify. We don't have to qualify. It's great to see the development of players and how we're clicking and how wonderful. But if we have a shit qualifying, doesn't matter. We're in anyway.
I'm peeking at Dave's notes. Yeah, go ahead, Hebsy. I'm peeking at Dave Charles's notes here, and I know what's coming next, and I can't wait for you to ask Hebsy about this league because, as you know, Dave, I co-host Hebsy on Sports, and we record every Friday at 9 a.m. In fact, there's a fresh episode, I think it's 319, in the feed right now. So pause this episode, subscribe to Hebsy on Sports, where you get just unfiltered, raw Hebsy sports commentary every week. But please, go ahead, ask him about this particular league. I'm dying to hear what Hebsy says.
The National Women's Soccer League? Go ahead, ask me. The National Women's Hockey League? Go ahead and ask me.
Oh, CFL.
The WNBA?
The CFL.
Come on, let's go.
No. I'm going to talk to you about the CFL. We hear that the Nova Scotia group is going to get a franchise. Is that right? Do you know anything about that?
Who's the commissioner of the CFL?
I don't know. You must know that. I don't know who he is.
So
should I Google it?
Talk about a league that nobody knows even the name of the commissioner. Gary Bettman in the NHL, right?
I thought it was Toronto Mike.
Who's the commissioner? Who's the commissioner of baseball?
Dave, do you love the CFL?
Rob Manfred.
Yeah, I do. I grew up in Hamilton. I'm a Tiger Cat fan. So
Look, Dave, I've told the story a million times, okay? Till my face has turned blue. I was a CFL fan growing up. I was the Toronto Argonauts play-by-play broadcaster in 1995 and 96. I loved the league. They lost an entire generation of fans with their stupid blackout rule. They have no leadership. People don't want to stay with the same CFL team for more than a year or two, and they go find their fortune somewhere else. And what built the CFL for years was the fact that players would come and stay. And you could look at the roster of a team, and the roster would be virtually the same 3 or 4 years later.
Yep.
And now I couldn't tell you how many guys on the Argonauts have been with the team for more than 4 years, 3 years.
Well, it's always been a taxi squad for the NFL, right?
Well, I don't like it. Okay.
Oh,
I like some consistency. I like to know that the same players are going to be on the team. That if I go get a jersey, it'll last more than 2 years before. I'm serious, Dave.
No, I hear you.
And you know as well as I do that the CFL, because of when their season begins in fucking May or June, that by the time the NFL training camps cut their players, their best players that can't make the squad, they end up coming to the Canadian Football League. And that's wrong, man. It's not the way to develop a team. You don't wait for cuts from the NFL to add to your squad. You build your team from the beginning, and you hope that those guys stay together. And you build a championship team. You build good rivalries, and they don't have that in the CFL.
Okay. Who's going to change that culture? I mean, you're right.
Not me. Not too late for me.
Exactly.
And like you said, I got the NFL to watch if I want to watch football.
Yeah.
College football. College football is good.
College football is huge.
US college football.
It is huge. Absolutely.
In fact, I got news for you. I'd rather watch Canadian college football than the CFL. At least I know who the players are going to be.
Yeah.
At least I know if this kid's in his third year, he's got another year or 2 more years. How many years can you play college in college football in Canada? 5 years?
Years?
I think it's 5
at the
years.
Most, yeah, at the most, yeah.
Because there was what's his name was like 26 when he was the quarterback for Laval, the Rouge et Or. He was like 26, 27. They had a bunch of guys that had gone to Cégep for a few years in Quebec, which is like junior college, and then like the full deal at Bishops or Concordia or whatever. And these guys are like 26, 27 years old playing Canadian college football, and they're pretty good.
Dave, does it sadden you to hear, because Hebsy is a similar vintage to you, a bit of a younger man, but still that generation loves the CFL. That's back when Toronto only had the 2 teams, right? You had the Leafs and you had the Argos. And to lose a Hebsy, like, that doesn't bode well for the younger folk. Like, how do you get the under 30 crowd to love the CFL?
Well, in my opinion, I don't think that the culture is there. I don't think there's anybody that's laying out the culture and what that's all about. You know, Hepsy's right. I don't think we have developed a core group of players that everybody knows. I mean, when I was growing up in Hamilton watching the Tiger Cats, I knew everybody. I knew the league. I knew our competitors. I knew we hated the Toronto Argonauts and the Montreal Alouettes. But we knew the players. You know, there was real rivalry, and that just doesn't exist anymore. You know,
you have to have rivalry.
It's just not there. You know, and players get traded away. They're not there long enough, and it gets turned over. But I think that, you know, to come back to the point about getting an East Coast team based out of Halifax or wherever, I think is going to be really important, and then start to develop the culture, the new culture of the CFL. Because the game is different.
Dave.
The game is different.
Happen.
Well, okay.
It's not going to happen, and here's why. Because the CFL shows no interest at all in moving to Halifax or anywhere out east. They just don't. There's not a cry for it. The same way there's not a cry for the CFL in Quebec City.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
And they've got a stadium there. They got football fans there, but they're Laval fans. They're college fans. How do you get them into the CFL? Well, you got to get in there. But again, if you're marketing the CFL, how are you going to go into these places and go, wouldn't you love the Canadian Football League to come to your town? You think they're going to be going, oh, yeah, we can hardly wait. Oh, boy, we can see the Toronto Argonauts. And what's the guy's name who's the quarterback with the hyphenated name? Or what's the other guy? No, it doesn't have popularity across the country. It certainly does in Western Canada. They got nothing else to do. Nothing. You got the Flames. You got the Stampeders. You got the Oilers. You got the Elks.
We are not worthy. I think we've just trashed the CFL. It's over. It's over.
Well, it sounds to me, look. I can tell you, I got a 21-year-old. Hebsy's got a couple of young sons. My 21-year-old loves football. Won't touch the CFL with a 10-foot pole.
Yep. NFL, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. NFL all day long.
Couldn't name a player in the CFL, a marquee player, and could probably name most quarterbacks in the NFL.
Hebsy, I tuned in for the Grey Cup. I know you didn't, but I tuned in for the Grey Cup. And
who won this year, the Grey Cup?
We did.
We did.
The Argos won. I remember that. But I was actually trying to talk my son into it. Like, okay, this is an event. It's the final. It's whatever. And I still couldn't get my boy to watch that damn game. Hey,
why do you think that is, Mike?
He just thinks it's a Mickey Mouse amateur hour low rent league, and he's a big league guy.
There you go.
He's big league chew, as we used to.
And the Argos averaged what, 12,000 fans a game?
Yeah. Yeah, that's
really pretty sad when you think about it.
Yeah, I know.
Why is that? Is that because most of the fans are in the 905 and they're afraid to come to exhibition place?
No, I think it's because most of the fans are, probably, well, if you ever, first of all, you had the Ticats that came in here a couple times, right? So you're going to get bigger crowds anyway because everyone from Hamilton comes in and fills the place.
Right.
Yep. So I don't know if there's, you've got pretty much the same 10,000 fans that you've had for the last 25 years.
And they're dying.
The same
you're
10,000 hardcore fans. Am I right, Dave?
You look at the demographic, absolutely right. They're older and they're just there for tailgating. That's it. They just want a good barbecue.
Right.
And a few brewskis. That's it.
Right. And the other thing, too, is betting on the CFL has never and will never be as popular as betting on the NFL or other sports.
Yeah.
Right.
CFL betting, especially with the single point and whatever, it's a clusterfuck. Right. Betting, like, can you imagine, hey, Bet Rivers, come on to the CFL today. We got this plus 247.5 and a chance to win again with a rouge and a safety touch with a 10. No chance, man. No chance. And by the way, will Bethel McLeod, will he be over and under 15 rushing yards today? No, it's not like that. If you ask, will Jalen Hurts be over 80 rushing yards over under? Right. Oh, that's a good bet there.
Right.
Well, what about Pat Mahomes? Oh, Pat Mahomes, will he throw for? But nobody cares. Those prop bets don't work CFL because they not where I'm from. In Western Canada, I could be completely wrong. I don't know. Maybe people in Winnipeg and Regina and all that, that's all they do is bet on CFL.
That's all you have out there. Remember that.
Before we get back to what do we call this? Toronto Dave, or is it Charles on sports? It's
hardly.
But you're doing a great job, and I'm glad we can make your dreams come true. And we're sorry you only have a week left to live, but I'm glad we got this Make-A-Wish. This is like the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
You said I'm dying on the show. You already said I'm just dying on the show. I'm not cutting it, man. I'm going to have to fire myself.
Did you say dying on the show? Shout out to Ridley Funeral Home. I don't know about you, Dave, but when I die, I hope the good people at Ridley Funeral Home take care of me. Shout out to Brad Jones.
When I'm done.
He's a good singer too. So shout out to Ridley Funeral Home.
Thomas. That's Canadian David Clayton Thomas.
Yeah, who I had a phoner.
And When I Die, but it was, I think it's a Billie Holiday song.
I had a phoner scheduled with David Clayton Thomas, arranged by the great Eric Alper, and then at the last minute, to protect him from himself, the plug was pulled on this. I don't think he was any condition to do a phoner with Toronto Mike.
Interesting.
Yeah,
that's what you said about me. That's why it took me so long to get on the
Dave,
show.
You broke in during Heavy Sports.
955 episodes later, okay, let's get Dave down here. We're going to do a filler, right? So I'm a filler. I want you to know that right now.
And the Q107 talk is coming, but I am giving Dave gifts here. So now this is a flashlight. Let me pull this out here.
Oh, I love this.
Courtesy of Ridley Funeral Home and measuring tape, Dave.
Oh, Jesus!
You got to measure stuff, man.
Okay.
You mentioned the brewskis earlier at a tailgating party. The best beer in this city,
right here.
Great Lakes beer, brewed right here in Southern Etobicoke. Fresh craft beer.
Right here.
Great Lakes.
Great Lakes.
You love your Great Lakes. And if you're going to eat with that Great Lakes, I recommend Palma Pasta.
Absolutely.
Hebsy, did you ever dive into that lasagna you got from the Richard Griffin episode?
What do you think?
Yeah, I can still see some sauce on your face. So, Dave, did you get a lasagna last time you were here?
Yeah, I got a lasagna. My wife said get the eggplant parm, because it's very good.
You should have put that order in before you got here, Dave. Holy smokes, I could have made that happen. But you know that.
We shared that.
I make dreams come true, Dave.
We shared that with 3 of our neighbors, and they're still eating. It was so good, delicious. We go there all the time, so it was like, you didn't have to give me that, but I loved it. Thank you.
Well, you're going to get another one. Hey, do you smoke weed, Dave Charles?
I used to, but then I forgot where I lived, so I had to stop. I ended up at Hebsy's house, right? He said, "No, you don't live here."
I would ask Hebsy that question, but I know the answer. If you are buying cannabis or cannabis accessories, Canna Cabana will not be undersold, and there's over 140 locations across the country. So shout out to Canna Cabana. I pass the mic right back to my esteemed, I would say co-host, but I'm the co-host. You're the man, the host of the most, Dave Charles. Where do you want to go next with Hebsy Man while we have him?
Listen, while we got some time, we got a bit of time left. I want to talk about music and radio.
Well, can I play your song, bring it down, and then we'll talk about that? Okay, this is another one of Dave Charles' sports jams, or anyway, I'll kick it out. We'll talk about it.
Come on. song ever.
Woo!
Come on.
Look at Dave go. Banging that head. We'll give him one line and then I'll bring it back.
You ever see these guys live? They will put you down and never let you up. It is unbelievable. That's AC/DC, Brian Johnson, lead singer.
You think that's the greatest song of all time, right?
No, just for rock. I mean, just for rock. That you cannot.
Your heart
that
rate's.
song.
I'm worried about you. You're 79 years old.
I know,
How's that
but,
hurt?
I'm very fit. I'm very fit for 79. But doesn't that just get your blood going? I mean, come on.
Hebsy, what do you think, Hebsy, about Thunderstruck, AC/DC?
Oh, I'm a big fan of AC/DC.
Oh,
I
so
saw them
good.
live. I saw them with Bon Scott for crying out loud.
Bon
in
Scott. Now you're talking.
1979.
Oh, now you're talking. With
Yeah, so I'm a huge fan, and You Shook Me All Night Long. You know, that's one of many. That's a fantastic song.
What band has bagpipes?
Get you going.
Bagpipes in a rock song. I love
Get
it.
you going.
Oh, yeah.
Dirty deeds done dirt cheap.
And they wiped the Rolling Stones off stage. I saw that.
That's Bond. That's Bond. Dirty
Yeah.
Deeds Done.
Right. I know. Yeah. And the Highway to Hell, that's Bond too, right?
Yeah. Amazing. I love that. I mean, now I'm going.
Well, Back in Black is the first post-Bond album, right?
That's right.
Yep.
What an album.
Whoa.
Right?
Whoa.
What a debut for Brian Johnson. Holy Jesus.
He was doing nothing. They picked him out of a list of singers. They brought him into a cafe, and they had him sit in this little waiting room for an audition. He didn't know what that was going on. And they said, yeah, we like you a lot, so come sing with the band. And it was just kind of very organic. It wasn't a big deal, And he just said, oh, okay. And he was a very, very shy and reserved about it. But, when he got in the band, then you hear that chainsaw voice. Oh, love it. And Bon Scott was a hard act to
I would
follow.
play that song for the team coming out onto the field.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, dim the lights
Yes.
or whatever, and then just add that. Doo-doo. And they just come on the field and, let's go!
Yeah. Oh, my God.
Let's go!
Yeah, come on. We're going to save the CFL, right? That's what the CFL needs.
Might not be a bad idea.
That might be the best idea you've ever had.
For that, right?
I know.
AC/DC.
AC/DC.
Wait a minute, Marge. Isn't that
Wait a minute.
AC/DC?
Forget the CFL. It's AC/DC. That's the new league.
Exactly. Now you're talking. Market
Hey.
the sizzle. You got to market the sizzle.
It's rock and football.
The Halifax Thunderstruck.
No, rock and football. Let's rebrand it.
There you go. There you go. Now you're talking.
See,
In the Venn diagram of CFL fans and AC/DC fans, it's just one big circle. You know that, right?
I know. What circle is that again?
Nickelback out west. Nickelback.
They got their name, don't you? When they go buy McDonald's out there and you got a Nickelback from your...
Oh, no, the guy worked at Starbucks. I remember the
Is that
story.
it?
One of the guys worked in
Nickelback, yeah.
Alberta, and he worked at Starbucks, and they said, here's your Nickelback. And he would say that 100 times. Here's your Nickelback. 'Cause I don't know, it was $1.95 or something. They give you a
Starbucks.
toonie. Here's your Nickelback.
The worst price point. Yeah, that's why people quit working at Starbucks, is because I think the idea was look, if you're going to bump the price up, bump it up to $2.05, and that way we get at least a 20-cent tip.
Right.
I died
But
from nickel
$1.95,
dust.
no one's going to give you the nickel, and then a quarter on top of that. You're fishing for a quarter.
But then you get all the dust from the nickel, and you get poisoned to death.
But that was the days when you carried cash around.
Oh, yeah, now you just tap. Everyone just taps.
I feel bad for street people who are like, hey, can you? And I'm like, dude, I got no cash on me at all. I got my bank card.
Yeah,
You want my watch? Do you want my watch? Like, I can't give you anything.
Hebsy, you make a
Nothing
good point. Like, I can't give a guy a toonie or whatever. I literally have no cash on me anymore. You're right.
That's
It's
right.
tap, 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 tap.
I was on the CTC yesterday twice, two delays, separate incidents, two different delays, two separate incidents, security incidents. They don't go into detail. Sorry, no trains aren't stopping at college because of a security incident. Okay, great. Then the other one is we're backed up at whatever because of a security incident. So I'm like, okay, what's going on? Like security incident, it could be anything, right? But now you're stopping the entire TTC. So now more and more people are on the platform waiting for this train that hasn't arrived and is delayed. And it's just a clusterfuck. And then finally, after 20 minutes of waiting on the platform, the train comes, drops you off. I'm on line 2 now. As soon as I'm on the platform, we've got a delay. We got a train on Ossington and with a security incident. I could, if I would have known this, I could have walked.
Right.
I become a TTC.
40 minutes underground.
I become a TT because of security risk. I become a TTC mural. I crawl along the wall like Spider-Man, so no one's going to push me on the tracks. If you look at me, you can say, "I'm not going to touch that guy because I'm a reasonably big dude, and no one's going to push me around." But I still.
I'm here to tell you, it's not just guys. There's people of all,
genders,
backgrounds. Whatever you want to say,
right.
Choices. That it's you don't want to make eye contact with them, and you're looking at the floor, but at the same time, you're in close contact with people who, I don't know, the guy's got his hand in his pocket. Has he got a knife in there? She's like, I don't know. She's one woman's yelling into the phone, angry, yelling into the phone. And as she's getting on the car, she's still yelling into the phone. And I'm right there. And she's yelling kind of at me because I'm behind the phone that she's yelling into.
Right.
I kind of feel like the guy Ned. Remember the character Ned in Groundhog Day selling insurance? I feel like I want to go up and sell somebody. No, I'm not going to sell you insurance. Anyway. I just want to live. I want to get to my next stop. Is that okay?
That's my rant about Toronto. That's why I'm moving out of the city, because one of the reasons is it gets too dangerous. Not just walking, cycling, going into the subway.
Yeah.
You don't know. There's a lot of people that have, a lot of issues, a lot of them.
And may I
step over them, walk over them.
Yeah.
Asking for money, serious hassle, real, not just infringing on your personal rights, but like major harassment, bordering on criminal harassment, right?
This city will be worse off when we lose Hebsey, which is happening soon, because I'm telling you, we need more Hebsies, not fewer.
Well, no, he's iconic. I said to him when I first met him, I said, you have got to be on a major sports radio station or TV. I said, it's a crime. You're the only guy out there that talks.
When did you first meet him?
Oh, let's see. I think it was
3 weeks ago.
He was at the subway. He came up to me and said, "You got a loony?" And I said, "No. We met because I engaged him to do a special birthday for my brother-in-law George, and he did a whole NFL thing reenactment, and they charged me way too much, but I did it anyway." And it turned out to be, the family loved it. It was a big deal. But, I always wanted to meet him because I liked his work. To me, he was one of those guys that just jumped through the radio.
Yep.
And he wasn't talking shit. He knew what he was talking about.
Yeah, because he talks from the heart, man. This isn't some bullshit.
No.
Tell the people what they want to hear.
Okay, enough, guys. I'm getting nauseous. I appreciate it.
I don't want to have some
super nice. I really appreciate it, but I'm going to throw up in my mouth.
Well, let me flip it before we get back to the sports talk. Which, by the way, people can subscribe to Hebsey on Sports and get this every week. It's awesome. Now, Hebsey, did you have any questions? Because I know you are a big Q107 listener. Any questions for Dave Charles here?
No. No, I worked at Q107.
I'm deadbeat. I'm roadkill. He makes me roadkill. My first show.
All the Q107 stories.
No, he
Dave
doesn't.
Dave told me these stories from 1977.
What about Club 30? You didn't know about Club 30, right? When you're in there.
I knew about Club 30. All those guys.
Okay, well, there must be a story or two you can share with the listenership. No. I know we did the deep dive.
Okay, you want the story?
Yeah.
You want the story? Here's the story. I'm at Q107. This is in the mid 90s. I'm at Q107 and 640. I had been at Global, and I'd gotten a call from the program director at Q107, 640, named Danny Kingsbury. Oh. And he said, look, we just acquired the rights to the Toronto Argonauts and the Toronto Maple Leafs radio. And Q107 is going to have the Maple Leafs, and our sister station, 640, is going to have the Argos. And we want you to come over. We want you to do play-by-play for both. And we want you to be the sports director and do morning sports with Jesse and Jean on 640 and Brother Jake and the Q Morning Zoo on Q107. And here's a bunch of money.
Wow.
And by that time I was getting tired of sports. I'd been there 11 years. They were spending less and less money on, trips to spring training and covering, big events. And, you could see the writing on the wall. It just wasn't as much fun. And 11 years is a long time. So I took the gig. And so now I'm working at Q107 and one day upstairs in the lounge at 5255 Yonge at Norton, in the lounge, there's a pool table there. All the smokers are in the smoking room. And I meet, Tom Wilson from Junk House is there to do a promotional thing. Hey, right, he's there. 1995.
Wow.
And Tom comes in, and he comes in with a lady who I know looks very familiar to me, and it's a former girlfriend of mine from back in high school.
Wow.
Right?
Okay.
And like, I'm like, oh, and her name's Susie. And I'm like, oh, hi, Susie. And in fact, this is in North York where we grew up. We went to school together, right? And went out together a few times, whatever. But like a long time ago. And I look at it and I go, he goes, hey, how you doing, man, Tom? I go, hey, hi, nice to meet you, like that. He goes, this is, I guess it was his girlfriend. This is my girlfriend, Susan. And I go, I know. And he goes, you know. And then she says something to the effect of, yeah, we used to go out together. And now he's still shaking my hand, Tom Wilson, but now he's gripping it
he's
little
a
bit tighter.
Big guy too.
He's looking at me, and he was drinking in those days too. And he was probably drinking, that morning that I met him too.
Right.
Howling at me like, you what? Right? And I won't go too much further with the conversation, but basically it was like, this is you used, and then I think it might have been Brother Jakers says, you were fucking Tom Wilson's girlfriend. I'm going, wait a minute. Because now it's coming out like you went out with Tom's wife or, like later on, that kind of a thing. Sandy Shaw, she's an MPP. Sandy Shaw.
Wow. This is
MPP, Sandy, yeah.
This is the stuff I'm looking for, Hebsy.
That's Madeline's mom.
This is X-rated.
That's Tommy Wilson, Thompson Wilson, who's Tom. That's their son. That's the mother, Sandy Shaw. So that's Tom's ex-wife, who I went out with years ago, like when we were teenagers. So now, like Tom.
Wow.
They're split now, but anyway.
And he had you in a death grip, right?
He's a big dude. That's a big dude.
He's a big guy. But also, too, he was like, I don't want to say he was a mean guy, but he had that,
he wasn't clean and sober yet. Yeah.
And also, think of the songs going right out of my head. And go, he would jump up on, I've seen him do gigs where he would jump up on tables, kick over beer bottles, stomping away with his cowboy boots, steel toe. Oh, yeah.
But he's great, though. He's great.
These guys are rough, man.
Yeah, no doubt. But they did have that like beautiful songs like Shine. They had some of those like
fabulous stuff.
Beautiful
songs. I'm talking
Shine.
rough. And before that, the band he had before that, I'm trying to think what they were called. Oh, Dave, maybe help you with this.
Hamilton Boy. He's a Hamilton Boy, right?
Yeah. But the band before Junk House.
I have no idea. I can't think of it.
Anyway, so that was my sort of, Q107, like, oh, everybody comes to Q107. All the rock stars come to Q107. And, all those stories about, how every DJ's got a story about how, the rock star would come into Q107 and do this or do that. Or Elton John once did 2 hours at CKLW in the afternoons. Yep. I'm listening. All right. And I hear, and Elton John joined us. Hey, and he's the disc jockey. He's on with, Chuck McCoy or whoever the guy was, Brother Bill Gable, whatever. And it's Elton John. He's introing and extroing the records. He's doing the weather. He's doing the Motor City murder meter, 2020 news with Elton John.
Well, it was Rosalie Tremblay who picked Benny and the Jets. She said, no, she flipped the song on him and said, this is the song you should be playing, Yeah, and Benny and the Jets is a legendary song for him. And that happened at CKLW. LW.
Hey, the name of the band, Hebsy, you were struggling to come up with is the Florida Razors.
Florida Razors. Fabulous. I was thinking Georgia Satellites. Florida Razors. Florida Razors. Yeah, they were good.
Makes sense.
But again,
from Hamilton, here's the Florida Razors.
From the Hammer, baby. From the Hammer. Same place as Teenage Head.
Come on.
Okay. Daniel Lanois. I mean, you got some. Hammer's got some.
Steve
good
Bacon.
Yeah. I'm talking musical talent.
No, I know. I just know he's listening.
And
so
it's got Hutch's. It's got Hutch's Fish and Chips as well.
Got Hutch's.
Damian Cox, who keep going here. All right, so let me ask you a quick question here, Dave Charles, before you get back to sports. And I'd be happier to talk music than sports, but it's up to you. It's your show. It's your show.
I'm going in half an hour. So
yeah, we got a hard out.
If you want.
Yeah, hard out. But did you listen, Dave? Because when I was putting this together, I was thinking, oh, Dave Charles is going to listen, and I was like, I hope I get this right or whatever. Did you listen to episode 1? What was it? 1071. Okay, so that's 1,000. Did you listen to episode 1071 of Toronto Mike, which was many hours about Q107?
Yeah, I did. And I thought, a lot of history there. I just thought it was a bit too long in one chunk. And I gave you feedback that I thought it should be. It was so good, I thought it should be broken up into 3 different episodes.
But that seems like you're doing a disservice to the listener. Like that's 3 different intros, 3 different ad breaks.
You're talking about the attention span of
you don't have a pause button in that device of yours, Dave?
But Mike, it's easier. Mike, it's easier though, don't you think? If you're listening to a full podcast, is it not easier to click over to the next version, like episode 2, as opposed to stopping it, pausing it, trying to remember where it is, and then using that same player to listen to another? If I go to something else And I can't go back to that and it's still there. It's just easier
Okay, so
to say,
regardless of the time,
Part two.
which it's a very long episode because my personal thoughts on that. But of course, I value your input and your insight. But what about the content? Let's get past.
Excellent, really good, solid. The content was great. You covered everything. I didn't miss anything. And I think for the person listening and not being aware of the culture and the events around Q, it was an iconic station. Remember, the Q got its license because Rock 102 in Buffalo was stealing rock listeners out of Toronto, and Rock 102 in Buffalo was selling radio time out of the Toronto area. CRTC said, no, we're going to stop that. And the reason we got the license, we said we're going to play at least 40% CanCon. Good rock. There was a lot of good rock that wasn't being played, and that was the reason we got the license. And it just took off from there.
In 1977 is when we get Q107, right?
Yeah.
Hebsy, were you listening from the beginning? Like, I know you were kind of a Chum FM guy, but did you give it a go in 77?
Oh, of course. Absolutely.
So as a
Because
music, go ahead.
At that time, I was listening to WBUF in Buffalo, which was a progressive rock station, and I mean a really progressive rock station. This is the type of station that we'd be playing Birdland, right? Mm-hmm. This is the type of station that we'd be playing Vulcan World by Return to Forever and backing that up with the latest from Warren Zevon.
Yeah, you're right.
So really progressive. So Q107 was more rock than progressive. Chum FM was progressive-y, right? But Q107 was rock. And that's what turned me on to Q107. I knew every song was a rockin' song. Now, that doesn't mean they wouldn't play Angie by the Rolling Stones, right?
No.
But for the most part, man, we're rocking.
Yep.
Boston, Styx, okay?
Yep.
Emerson, Lake and Palmer. All that stuff. Not so much King Crimson. That would have been more
Police,
FM maybe.
Supertramp, Elvis Costello.
Oh, Super, of course. All that stuff from the late set. Blondie.
Yep.
Like all that great stuff. Rockin' stuff.
Yep. And around the same time, remember, MTV hit the beach in 1980. And that was kind of a paradigm shift for the whole music business because then we had videos and Max Headroom and all that shit. But all the new rock groups came out of there. And that kind of, the music wasn't quite rock. We did play some of it, but not all of it. But that was a big shift for us.
But the other thing, too, was the personalities, which people listen to radio for.
Yep.
But the personalities, you got friendly with the same people. The 6 o'clock rock report, they made sure that every night, and you wanted your rock news, you wanted to know who was playing concerts and stuff like that, interview clips, 6 o'clock rock report.
Yep.
So the news aspect of it was because Chum FM was doing Barometer. Chum FM had a pretty good news and current affairs that they shared, of course, with Chum AM. So they had a newsroom. Mm-hmm. Q107 didn't have the same. They had to establish their own.
Yep.
And
that was thanks to really
affairs.
Bob Makowitz really put that.
Yeah, Mako, yeah.
Yep. And John Donaby. And, it was a collective effort, but it really, really cut through. That station was syndicated right across Canada, that show. And 6 o'clock rock report became iconic, and for all those reasons.
Dave, are you still friendly with Bob Mako Sr.?
I have not seen Bob Mako for a while. He kind of disappeared off the scene. I know he was trying to get, he had a radio station interest in Vancouver with David Bray, and then Shore FM, and then he just kind of disappeared.
Okay, maybe I need to hit up his son. I'm friendly with his son, but I do want Bob Mako Sr. on Toronto Mic'd. Like, this is one of the
he would be
people I'm targeting.
He would be a great show. He's got all the stories.
I had Alan Cross in here a couple of days ago, and Alan, of course, has been hosting the ongoing history of new music with a couple of pauses, which we talked about in the episode where he wasn't working for Chorus or for that station. But he, the rumor I had heard, and Alan says he had never heard it. He heard it from me for the first time, but I had heard that the ongoing history of new music was going to be a Bob Mako Sr. Production with McLean Hunter, because he was working for McLean Hunter at the time, and that Stu Myers, who was a program director at CFNY, kind of scooped it up and assigned it to Alan Cross to make it a CFNY property. But anyway, I want to talk to Bob Mako and get his take on all this great Toronto radio history.
Yep. Stuart Myers was the program director at Q107 as well.
Yep. Good
640.
His daughter is actually on the air.
When they went to Mojo.
Yes, absolutely. And his daughter's on the air in Vancouver now. She was on the air in Toronto, CFNY, and then she got a gig in Van City, and she's out there now. Carly Myers.
Did you ever work with Mark Daly at all in his career?
I didn't, but I knew Mark pretty well. Gene Velitis knew Mark really well. They lived very close to each other and used to walk their dogs together down by the beaches there. But I'd met Mark on a couple, Mark was great, but Mark was a big sports fan.
Huge.
He was a huge sports fan, American.
Yep.
Huge base. We used to talk baseball, football. Oh yeah, Big sports fan.
He broke
And-
the Elvis story. You know, when Elvis passed.
Yeah, August 16th, 77. Yeah. He but Mark was, I think, I'm not sure, but I believe Mark did do some sports on Chum back in the day. You know, he might have been a fill-in sportscaster or whatever, but you know, I think Larry Wilson.
Oh no,
anyway,
Brian Williams. Brian Williams was there when I was there, and Brian was doing weekend sports, and Mark and Brian and I used to go for coffee up at Fran's all the time. You know.
Yeah,
that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, Mark was
Oh man,
great.
those stories must have been great. Like with that crew.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, he was just, you know, but it was everything. You know, we talked about everything. We talked about all the bullshit politics inside the radio station and outside.
Right. You know, interesting is that Mark Daly's widow has just gifted Ed Conroy from Retro Ontario, like the old. I guess Mark had kept all these VHS cassettes of like almost everything he had done, basically in boxes in the basement, and Ed Conroy now has all this video that he's going to go through, and we're going to have some pretty interesting Mark Daly clips soon.
Yeah, but don't forget, he also had a lot of airtime at City TV as well. He did a lot of stuff there. So
Well, that's what most of this is from.
Oh,
It's from
really?
CTV.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely. Love the name talk here. Now I'm going to kick out another jam from Dave Charles because, like I said, we have a heart out here because Mark's got a busy day. But I want to kick out this next jam, and then I actually just love hearing you guys talk about, you know, if it's Q, radio, music. I'm just going to listen in. This has been amazing. But let's hear your third jam here. We're only doing 3, by the way. People are used to 10, but this will be the third jam. Here we go.
Mother, there's too many of you crying. Brother, there's far too many of you dying. You know we've got to find a way to bring some loving here today. Father, we don't need to escalate. You see, war is not the answer, for only love
Can conquer hate.
You know we've got to find a way to bring some love here today. Picket lines and picket signs. Don't punish me with brutality. Talk to me so you can see what's going on. What's going on? Yeah, what's going on? What's going on?
What's going on, Dave?
Well, you know, Nevin Grant, a guy I used to work with at CKOC in Hamilton, said a good song should make you feel something. And that song, every time I hear Marvin Gaye in that song, I just says everything, you know. That song is so relevant right now. It's never going to get old. It's never going to die because people can't get their shit together, you know. And that song just says it all. So passionate. Marvin Gaye, the best. Did you ever go to Motown in Detroit? Go to the
I did, yeah.
Oh, what a great tour. What a great
Oh,
tour.
yeah, it's great. And also, it's like, you know, it's just an unassuming building on a street.
Two houses joined together, and you go down to the Snake Pit, Studio B, and you hear all the songs that went through that console, you know. But it's just so iconic, and the Barry Gordy story alone. But, you know, Marvin Gaye was just one of those iconic singers that said it right and did it right. I love it. I just love it.
Yeah, fabulous.
Whoa, gives me the chills. You look at all the shit going down right now. You play that song. That's what it is.
The shit that's going on right now. You ever lose hope, Dave?
No, never do. Never do. You know, I think it's good versus evil. I think eventually we'll get it right. But, you know, every night I turn on the 6 o'clock news, I'm kind of a little bit more discouraged. But, you know, someone's got to put a bullet in Putin's head, number one. I think pieces of shit like
Someone's going to break Ovechkin's ankle before they do that.
Oh, Dave, let me ask Dave about this. We on Hebsey on Sports, we talked, and I agreed with Hebsey on this. We don't want to head injury to Ovechkin. We don't want anything serious that could, shorten his life. But we both would love to see his ankle broken, his leg broken, like something like that, where he can no longer score goals and get the Gretzky record because of his support for Putin.
Yep. Look, I think you got to separate politics from athletics, and he's a good hockey player. His politics I don't agree with, but his athleticism and what he does on the ice.
But we don't have to celebrate the man like he's the next Gordie Howe here. The man did.
What about Bobby Hull, Dave?
Bobby Hull grew up in Belleville, Ontario. I got to meet the guy. I was there on air at CJBQ when he scored his 50th goal for the Chicago Blackhawks. Bobby Hull, off the ice, was a mean son of a bitch. He had a lot of domestics, a lot of problems, and the Bobby Hull you saw on the ice and in public wasn't the real guy. I used to see him at the Belleville Fair, wrestling steers. He was, a very fit guy, but he was two Bobby Orrs, or two. Help me here, please. Two Bobby Hulls. Two Bobby Hulls. He just had a mean side to him that nobody saw.
So how do we celebrate this man? Like what would be appropriate for the NHL? We had this conversation on Hebscher on Sports this morning. What's appropriate for the NHL to recognize the death of one of their greatest on-ice players?
I think you got to let the stats speak for themselves. I mean, in his era, he was the Golden Jet, and he got the 50th goal, and he played for 3 NHL teams, correct? Chicago, Winnipeg Jets, and Hartford.
Well, Winnipeg Jets weren't an NHL team when he played for them, though.
Oh.
Right? He played for the Hartford Whalers.
Whalers, yeah. I knew that.
But I don't think he played for Winnipeg when they were an NHL team. By then, he had moved on to Hartford. So he played for the Blackhawks and he played for the Hartford Whalers and Winnipeg in the WHA. But listen, this is the thing is that, he was a son of a bitch, but, was he enough of a son of a bitch that you shouldn't recognize what he did? The NHL shouldn't recognize him. And this is where the word honor and recognize, to recognize the fact that he passed and he was a great player and, mourn his passing or
no, I think
mention it and then move on.
I think you got to acknowledge what he did in his era in the 60s. I think he did a lot of things for hockey. He was a big deal, and that slap shot was unreal, I know
that, Dave, but what I'm saying to you is that when it all comes down to it, how should the NHL portray Bobby Hull, his passing? How should they recognize his passing? Should it be a montage of his goals and all that, and his smile and his missing teeth, and then fade to black, and
I think
the years he lived and then the year he passed, or just sort of we'd like to honor Bobby Hull with a moment of silence, or what?
I think he should be honored in Chicago, where he made the most.
Well, he will be.
I think a banner, obviously, for in his name and his.
Well,
stats.
maybe not. That's
Look, they took Robbie Alomar off the level of excellence. They ripped his, and they barely mention him. I did notice they
Wait. We're talking about two different things. Roberto Alomar is still alive, and this is a whole other thing. We're talking about one of the legends of hockey, already had his number retired, the whole deal. But again, are you concerned that people are going to go, oh my God, you want to grow the game of hockey, and here you are recognizing a guy that beat his wife and was, said, anti-Semitic things and racist things?
Well,
I'm not saying there's an easy answer to this. Especially when even his family didn't have nice things to say about him. He was estranged from his family. Mm-hmm. But again, do we, if you're the National Hockey League, let me put it this way to you. Did Bobby Hull sell enough tickets? Did Bobby Hull raise the profile of the National Hockey League to the point where the National Hockey League should thank Bobby Hull?
No. But I think that you have to honor what he achieved as a player and for the city of Chicago and the Blackhawks.
Well, that's been done. But that was done when his career was over.
Leave it at that. I would leave it at that to answer your question.
But now he's dead. A human being. Yep. Not a hockey player retiring, still going on. A human being's dead. We've already mentioned his numbers. That's been done. But now he's passed away, a human being. So do we say, well, he was this and he was that and he was a son of a bitch? Or do we go, all right, well, he had a checkered life. Here's what he did that was good. Here's what he did that was horrible. And now he's dead. Figure it out for yourself. But does the NHL bear some responsibility in letting people know that this great man has passed away? Great hockey player.
Yeah.
And
I think
To
they
what
do.
extent should
I think they do, but I think
to
there's
recognize him.
obviously
That's
obviously a lot of moral issues attached to Bobby Hull, but I think let the stats speak for themselves. Let the different teams, the different franchises. Obviously, the Winnipeg, there's a lot of Bobby Hull fans in Winnipeg and Hartford.
There's lots of Bobby Hull fans everywhere. I don't even think just the teams he played for. I just think there were. I just think he was that type of a dynamic personality. And then the more people knew about his private life, did that, oh, geez, I was a fan, but man, when I heard about that, not anymore.
Yep.
But you can't go back. If you were a fan when he played and now he's not playing anymore, you can't go back. You can't all of a sudden say, all those moments that I loved Bobby Hull, I want to wipe those from my memory. No more, because I know about his personal life.
I think you leave it there. I think just what you suggested, you park it. I don't think you need to do any more than what we've already done for Bobby Hull. I really don't. That's my feeling anyway.
No, love your opinion on that. Now, I want to ask Dave about something that happened to a station he helped give birth to. So, Dave, you helped birth Q107.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Jane Hodden asked if she could come on, and I was very happy to have Jane Hodden on, and she was a great guest. And she wanted to talk about Q107 because she felt with the John Derringer situation that it had... People had started thinking of or looking at Q107 like as a misogynist station because of the way John was treating his co-hosts. Meanwhile, she felt it was very like progressive when it came to women talent at the station. And she kind of wanted to defend the legacy of Q107. As a man who helped give birth to Q107, what was it like for you when the Derringer story broke and you learned about what Maureen Holloway and Jackie Delaney and Jennifer Valentine?
I was very sad. I was very sad. Obviously, I know John's a friend of mine, and I knew all this shit was going down. And I was really, I couldn't say anything. I was not in a position to do anything about it, And I think there was a lot of whispers going on in the hall, and it was really sad to see what happened. And it ended up in a very bad place, and I think that John has lost his way. He's certainly not going to get a look in on radio in this country anytime soon, and I think that era of his life is over, which is a shame. He's a very big talent, and it's just not going to happen for him anymore. Now, coming back to the issue of allowing women to have their roles in radio, I think is really important. And I think that we did our best. Jane was one of those stars that we had on the air at Q107. And I think there was a lot of program directors who did not see that as viable. They did not get on the bandwagon when they should have. We have lost a whole generation of women talent out there that I know of, people that just never got to see a co-host chair, never had that opportunity to host a show on their own, and as not in prime time anyway. So I think that era is lost, but it's back. It's back now, though.
What do you think about the new Q107 morning show being the two John Derringer sidekicks returning, Ryan Parker and John Garbett, and having a woman in the place of where John once sat, Shauna Whalen?
It's too early. I think you got to let the show find its way before you make any judgment on the show. I know the other guys as well. I don't think the show has reached any kind of mojo at this moment. I think it's going to take a bit of time for the show to
good
find
word.
I know, no pun intended.
Mojo. Good word.
But it's just right now
Mojo Radio.
Yeah, it's just still very young, and I think that the show's going to take a bit of time.
John, you know what? If I can interrupt here,
of course, please.
Mike and I have had a lot of discussions about, pairings and chemistry on air, whether it's radio or TV or sports or whatever it is. And I found lately, I'm surprised and shocked at the people that have been thrown together on major market radio, like on sports radio, for example, that sounded like they'd never met each other. If you were going to put if you thought that a pair or a threesome was going to work together on the air, would you go through some type of audition off air or have them go away for a weekend to get to know each other before you actually put them on the air in a major market and hoped it was going to work?
Yep, absolutely. I think throwing them together like that in prime time is not right. I agree. I think they've got to grow the chemistry maybe in another radio station and develop that chemistry before you bring them into a major market. Because right now, you're going to set somebody like that up to fail, which I do not like to do. And I know a lot of radio stations don't realize what that means. You put them in there to fill a slot, and we're going to get a lady to host the show because of what's happened through Derringer. That's the wrong attitude and the wrong approach. I think the show needed some rehearsal time, to your point, and I think they needed to start somewhere else and develop that chemistry. And unfortunately, they've just been thrown in the deep end, and good luck to them.
this
That's a tough
yeah,
tough end to get out of, though, when you've had no chemistry and you're working with two people who had worked with someone else and sort of probably had their own chemistry. Like those two guys, Johnny and Kid Parker had chemistry.
Yep.
Right. They already had chemistry. Shauna had to come in. So yeah, I kind of find we did the same thing. What was it, Mike, with the fan morning show? It was Alicia and JD Bunkus and someone else, and then it was. But that morning show, man, they've changed so many times and put people together that had no business being together, that had never met each other. That was a real clusterfuck, I think, ever since, I guess, Brady and Walker. Hey, Mike?
Well, remember, Brady and Walker only came to be because Brady didn't have the right chemistry with Jim Lang.
Right.
So it was Brady and Lang
Walker
first, and then basically, because Greg told me this story on Toronto Mike, so I'm not telling stories out of school here, but Brady pretty much went to management and said, like, something's got to give. It's him or me. This isn't working. And they basically let Jim Lang go and brought in Andrew Walker.
Right. Here's the thing with Q107, they have, I forget her name, she's from Calgary, but she came in to be the program manager for the three brands in Toronto. And, she's not bad at developing talent, but she also rehearsed the Edge morning show off air before they put them in. And she should have done the same with Q, but she's not doing that for some reason. I don't know why.
And they had time. They had plenty of time.
I think I know, though.
That it was removed.
Tammy Cole is the name.
Tammy Cole is correct.
Brand director. Okay. Yep. I think because there's a hiring freeze at Chorus, they're essentially trying to solve all these problems. They had a guy named Jay Brody. I mentioned Carly Myers earlier. She went out west. Well, Jay Brody followed her, okay? Jay Brody was on the morning show at CFNY, and that was with Shauna Whalen and a guy named Chris Zed, although he called himself Chris Z, which always drove me nuts. But okay, so you have that CFNY show, which started at Y108 and came to CFNY. But when Jay Brody leaves, they have a problem. And of course, a big problem named John Derringer on Q107. So they have to kind of fix these things without bringing any new hires on board. They have a hiring freeze. So they literally take the Hamilton morning show, which was Maura and Tucker and Maura, and they put that at CFNY. They take Chris Z, they put him in Barrie, but they take Shauna, move her to Q107 with the two guys who were there with Derringer, and they just simulcast a show into that Hamilton station. That's just a show that was airing in a bunch of other markets. So that costs nothing to just put them in a new market. And all this stuff kind of happens and solves a couple of problems, and they spent $0 on talent.
And I think when I go speak at Seneca and other colleges that have radio courses, a lot of people are not interested in radio. They're interested in new media. They just say, hey,
it's like the CFL.
Yeah, exactly. Right? And I said, what are you doing here? Well, we think we're going to get jobs somewhere else. But no, the interest in radio is not what it used to be. People are interested in creating their own programming. They can do it now on their phone. And they're saying, well, why radio? Why? And there's not a lot of jobs. There's not a lot of good people training the next generation of radio personalities. Let me use that word again, personalities. They're just filling in a void, And where are you going to find the next generation of Hebscher,
Well, they can't afford Hebscher. Like, I talk to these people off the record and on the record, and when I talk off the record and I find out what they're paying for some of these spots, some of these are morning radio spots in Toronto, and you find out what they're making, you realize, oh, good thing I never had an interest in working in radio because I couldn't raise my family in this city with that kind of a salary.
No, terrible.
So they can't afford Hebscher, right, Hebscher? They couldn't afford a Hebscher right now.
No.
What does that say about our industry? Here we have radio. Radio is still, 92% they say of all Canadians are listening to radio at least, once a week. Okay. And in Australia, a little bit higher as a Commonwealth country. But right now, I can say people are more interested in curating their own programming, listening to podcasts and doing other things.
Wait, you said 92% of Canadians are listening to radio once a week?
Yep.
Bullshit. Hebscher, do you believe that number for a second here?
Yes, I do. Once a week? Yeah, I do.
92% of Canadians.
Mike.
Yes,
once a week.
Once a week.
A week.
Not a day.
I think there's more than 8%.
Mike, think about this. Mike, think about this a second. You get into someone's car for 5 minutes. The radio's on. You were listening to radio, right? You had 680 News on to hear the truck. You listened. Once a week.
It
doesn't
doesn't pass my sniff test because I think I hear you, but I think more than 8% of Canadians.
So you're in the minority. So you're the 8% that doesn't listen to radio.
I do.
Listen.
I am in the 92, but I don't think 92% of Canadians have access to a radio.
What would make you think that this stat is wrong? Like, what are you, an anti-non-radio guy?
I listen to CBC Radio 1.
But that's you. Why would you dispute this number? Why?
It doesn't pass my sniff test, Hebsy.
Well, I mean, we're talking
What
about
sniff test
stats.
is that, Mike? What is
My
that
sniff
test? though? Like you
Just
immediately
making
jump
shit
out
up.
to.
All right, FOTMs
he gives
are
you
listening.
a number. That's like saying, "Oh no, Wayne Gretzky didn't score that many goals."
No, very different than that,
That's
Hebsy. You
it's
know
the
that.
same thing. You don't believe it. Why? You have to have a reason why you don't believe
Yeah,
it.
go on.
Your
I don't
personal
believe
experience
in-
makes you not believe it. What do you got
I
your
don't
fucking
believe-
head in the sand?
I don't believe
Come on.
92% of Canadians are listening to any form of terrestrial radio once a week.
Whoa.
Whoa, Mike!
Ding, ding, ding.
Minded, aren't
Hey,
you?
I got to warn before you guys kill me here. I got to warn
Once
Dave. We
a
only
week.
get 8 minutes more of Hebsy, so you got to
No,
drain your swamp there, buddy.
No.
But Leafs
I was
Raptors,
gonna-
you got 8 minutes.
No, I was going to talk about pickleball. You know,
Go, yeah.
Yeah, what
8
about
minutes.
pickleball? I mean, do you play pickleball? I mean, I'm getting to the age now where my knees can't take squash. They can't take tennis.
Yeah, I've been playing for years. Yeah.
You like pickleball?
Yeah.
Should it be a professional league sort of thing?
What do you mean?
Hebsy's a commissioner.
The commissioner of pickleball.
You would
I
get
got
more.
time to watch other people play pickleball. I got lots. I don't have time to watch other people play. There's so many sports on TV.
Yeah, Dave,
anyway.
No one wants to watch pickleball,
I
right?
don't know.
That's just
you don't know that though. You know, a lot of celebrities
Hey,
are
wait,
getting into
Mike.
this.
Wait. 92% of Canadians, bullshit. Nobody wants to watch pickleball. All of a sudden, you became an authority on people's
92%
and
of
listening
Canadians
habits.
want
All
a
of a sudden,
pickleball league. 92% of Canadians want a pickleball league.
I just like the name. I just think if I hear pickle, I'm gonna get a burger to go with it, right? I'm gonna get.
But Dave, do you play pickleball? You said you did?
No, I'm looking at pickleball right now because I'm, my
well,
knees.
you better
are,
hurry because it's very tough to get court time. It's
I know.
extremely
Well,
popular.
I live in Oakville, so
Extremely
I get pickleball court. But badminton I kind of like, but pickleball's got the kind of aggression.
All right, you got 5 minutes. What I see your list here.
You got 5 minutes, Charles. Let's go.
Hey, didn't somebody start a podcast like that? You got 5 minutes?
Good 5 minutes. Look, I think we've run our shot here, man. I'm going all over the road. I've become roadkill thanks to you guys. Who's producing this show? This is all over
Well,
the shop.
Dave, what are you up to these days?
Well, I'm up to nothing. I'm just doing here. I'm hanging out because it's cold.
Is that why
outside.
you're here? You're bored?
I'm
What's
just-
going on here, Dave?
I'm
You're still a big wig in the radio world, right?
I'm just getting my Parma pasta together. Good eats for the weekend, right? I'm not going to starve.
All I know is I got to take on the TTC again today, so I'm not looking forward to that.
I wanted to go face to face with Hebsy, and I couldn't do that. Well, I appreciate the fact that we're all cloistered in our own little nests, but
Do you wish he was here? Because then you could reach out and
I
hug
can
him.
see him. I can see him, and I can to point at him.
We'll get together again. We'll see some baseball this year at the new Rogers Center.
I just
up in
want.
one of
I
those
don't want
beer
to. I don't want any more. Yeah, absolutely. I don't want any grease in this guy, but he's just one of my favorite. And we know why, because we've been listening to him for the last hour and a half. He's out there,
Longer
But
than that. I
he
did
is
an
on the
hour
edge.
with Hebsy before we started this
I
show.
know you warmed me up.
Yeah,
You didn't warm-
Mike and I already knocked off an hour.
I'm at 2.5 hours with Hebsy.
I felt like roadkill coming in here. I'm not going to cut
I
this.
feel like I went 15 with George Chavallo today.
Oh.
I got knocked out in the second round. With all the stats coming out. Holy shit, this is really complicated. I don't know if I can cut this. But the fact of the matter is, I got another thing in my wish list. I can tick off and say, I got a show with Hebsy, even though it was
Nice.
kind of young, it was all over the shop. I loved it. I really loved it. Thank you very much, Hebsy.
Dave, that was great, man. Thanks. I'm glad I'm glad that your wish came true that way.
Yeah.
I can't say that I wanted to do a radio show with Dave Charles. I would have liked to have had a call from Dave Charles years ago saying, man, that talent of yours, we got
See,
we got $1 million contract for you.
Induce
But
the
you were
guilt,
never in
induce
that
the guilt,
position
right?
to hire me, though. That's okay.
The hurt. I'm hurt.
So Hebsy, thank you so much for doing this. It's too cold for you to come all the way over here, so I'm glad you did it on Zoom actually, because it's like minus 30 with the wind chill out there. But
You know
again,
what? We'll
go
do a
ahead.
backyard version of it. It'll be beautiful this
man.
August or something. It'll be fabulous.
Dave will be there just to watch the show. We'll
Bring the
invite
pickles.
Dave.
Bring the pickles.
And Dave, you next time Toronto Mike has TMLX number 53 or whatever it is, you got to show up. We'll have a cold one together.
I will. I was away last time, so.
Oh man, I would love it. So thank you, Hebsy, for joining us. And Dave, honestly, any chance I have to make your dreams come true, I'm going to do it because you're a good FOTM, and I appreciate this, man.
Pleasure always. Go for it.
And that brings us to the end of our 1,198th show. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Toronto Mike. Hebsy, again, host of Hebsy on Sports. New episodes every Friday morning. He's at Hebsy Man. And Dave, you're at Dave Charles on Twitter. Is that you still active there? I do tweet at you periodically.
Yeah.
And if you have a need for a radio consultant, you're the man, right, Dave? You're the guy we reach out to.
I work fast and cheap.
And the man's going to live another 40 years, so it's a long-term investment with this man. Okay, our friends at Great Lakes Brewery are at Great Lakes Beer. Palma Pasta's at Palma Pasta. Now, Recycle My Electronics. If anyone has any old tech they need to safely recycle, go to recyclemyelectronics.ca. Find out where you drop that off, and it'll be done safely, good for our environment. They're at EPRA_Canada. Ridley Funeral Home, which gave Dave Charles that measuring tape, which he can't wait to go home and use. They're at Ridley FH. And Canna Cabana are at Canna Cabana _ See you all next week when my guests are here in real time. I'm going to check my calendar and tell you Craig Halkett from Much Music is my guest on Monday. Mike Shorman, who I think swam across the Great Lakes. We're going to talk about that. And Q107, former Q107 talent, John Scholes is coming over to kick out the jams. See you all next week.
Maybe the one who doesn't realize there's 1,000 shades of gray. 'Cause I know that's true, yes I do. I know it's true, yeah. I know it's true. How about you? While they're picking up trash and they're putting down roads. And they're brokering stocks, the class struggle explodes. And I'll play this guitar just the best that I can.